What's going on, everybody? This is Temperature Check. I am your host, as always, man. Mr. Check the Temperature. How y'all doing? Before we get started with today's content, I must do what I always do anytime you see me on your screen. And that's thank you guys for the likes, comments, shares, most importantly, those subscriptions. So whether you be a day one fan, somebody who just started rocking with the channel today, man, I greatly appreciate it. And if you're loving what I got going on my YouTube, man, you want to see more of me? Easy money, man. Follow me, I'll follow you right back. We'll build this thing up together. So check me out on Twitter, Mr. Temp Check. Hit me up on Instagram, Mr. Check the Temperature. I'm even on Clubhouse now, Mr.Temp But before we get started with today's content, man, make sure that you go check out the Hitman Holla Part 1 and Part 2 of the interview. It's doing numbers. We got to continue to make sure that we get that interview heard. So make sure that you're definitely sharing that. When you see that on your social medias, continue to retweet that. But we need to talk about another storyline that came out of the maxed out card. Obviously, shout out to ARP, man. Shout out to RBE, Lawrence, Shaka, the whole team over there. However, there was a battle that was supposed to take place on that card between Big K and Sirius Jones that did not go down. Unfortunately, that battle did not happen. And we heard one side of the story. Sirius Jones, you went on a media run. And it's very interesting that you went on a media run a week leading up to this event after you had been told you were no longer on the card, because we hadn't heard much from you. You know, ARP had not dropped an interview with you in it. You had the little clip of you standing there with nothing to say. But we had not seen a part 1, part 2, or part 3 of an interview until you decided to book your own interviews and talk about why ARP was a nerd, why ARP was a lame, why he wasn't of the same cloth, why he wasn't of that street cloth, that street culture. You call ARP out. Now, that's not a good thing. You made fun of him blogging. That's not a good thing. You know why? Because you can only get in front of the camera one time. You can only have so much of the narrative because you don't have a platform to speak on. You're going on other people's platforms where they get to edit, they get to take things out, and they might be on a time crunch. I knew you were in trouble, Sirius Jones, when I saw ARP's video was 48 minutes long. Have you ever heard of death by 1,000 cuts? You saw the thumbnail. 300 kicks you into the pit of abyss. ARP is a tactician. ARP, when Sirius Jones was going on his media run and he was dragging ARP's name through the mud, when he was dragging RBE's name through the mud, he didn't panic. He didn't jump out the window. He had a plan. When URL released the double impact card in its entirety, trying to take momentum from the maxed out event, and everyone was telling ARP to release the full maxed out card, he didn't panic. He didn't have a knee-jerk reaction. RBE, ARP, Lawrence, Shaka, they have a plan. They have a plan in place and they execute their plan. The objective is always accomplished. So ARP took his time on this response interview. Sirius Jones, this was a horrible look for you. But let's talk about some of the things that ARP exposed in this interview. You said, Sirius Jones, that ARP only gave you 24 hours to get this situation figured out. ARP is a businessman. Do you not think that he has a track record, that he not has timestamps, do he not has evidence to be able to back up and confirm everything that he's about to say? Are you serious, Jones? It's not looking good for you, sir. He said that your contract was signed February 24th. He says that everyone knows when it comes to booking with ARP, Lawrence is the person that you're going to be going through when it comes to booking your flights, booking your hotels, Airbnbs, all of that. That's who Lawrence is. He's that connect. Why is he having trouble with you trying to book a flight for this event? Why are you telling him that you want to wait a couple weeks. If the contracts were signed, deposits were sent February 24th, you want to wait a couple weeks before you actually book your flight, knowing that that car is very close and ended up being actually the same weekend as Easter weekend, so you know there's going to be a high volume weekend. ARP said that was strike number one, but he wasn't thinking at that point in time. He was focused on the maxed out car in its entirety, not necessarily worried about this particular situation. Until Lawrence came back and told him a couple weeks later that you were the only talent on the card that had not booked their flight. Are you serious? That means Cassidy booked his flight. That means Hitman Holla booked his flight. That means A-Ward, Ill Will, O-Red, Jag, all these other people. Big K booked his flight. Why are you holding out? He had the screenshots. So then they get on the phone with you. ARP calls you with Lawrence on three-way and says, "What's up? What's going on?" And you let him know that at this point in time that you don't know where you're gonna be flying out of. Flying out of New Jersey, flying out of Cali. Second thing that ARP said he overlooked, a misstep by him. But you know, again, he starts using this adjective to describe you, Sirius Jones. He starts calling you a cartoon Jones. He says you're a cartoon because you said he wasn't real, but my problem with you is you went on a campaign trying to tell people and convince people how real you are. Sir, as a grown man, I have never had to convince anyone I was a grown man. As a real nigga, I have never had to convince anybody I was a real nigga. I just do, and people see that in my behavior and address me as such. And so it's not looking good for you, Sirius Jones. Then you tell ARP, hey, out of nowhere, I have been assigned a PO. I've never had a PO before, but I just need to meet with this person, ensure that it's okay for me to go to this event and do good business with you. Okay, you tell him that. But the story's always changing. The story's always evolving. There's always more mess. The situation gets muddier and muddier. Now it's the PO. Now the PO says you can only work in the specific county that you live in. You don't have proof of residency. So much so that it's proven, and ARP, again, he is a fact finder. Do not mess with ARP. Treat him with respect and you will be good. You treat him with disrespect and he will annihilate you in front of these cameras. This thing I'm talking to right now is dangerous when the right person has the tools that they need to shed light on the situation. And that's exactly what ARP did. So he says that then you try to come back and tell him that you need to provide your PO with proof of residency. So you trying to figure out how you're going to get this money. You're trying to think about booking a hotel for a week so you can provide proof of residency for your PO. Additionally, ARP reminds you that while you're trying to figure this out, we're trying to book this flight. And don't forget, if you miss this face-off for this battle, we're taking a percentage out of that back end because that's in your contract. So whatever you're trying to figure out, you might want to hurry up and do so. But you're still taking your time, feeding all to these different narratives, all these twists and turns to these stories. And it finally gets to the point where ARP has to make a decision because you're playing games. We're talking about a situation that happened that started February 24th. It's now the Saturday night of the Saturday night. So the week before the maxed out car, and you're still trying to figure out if you're even allowed to travel, if even you have permission to go there. You're then going on these platforms saying that you were ready to risk your freedom in order to perform in this battle, which, again, ARP identifies in his blog, lets him know that you didn't have permission to leave the state, whatever state that you live in. Because again, ARP brings up the fact that you are homeless. In your interview, you are obviously, clearly in a hotel. Clearly in a hotel. ARP makes you look crazy on cam. He exposes everything on cam. Why would you? ARP tried to give you a plate. Soon as you got home, he tried to throw you on the biggest car in battle rap. And this is what you do to repay him? Not thinking that he had the receipts. You didn't have to say anything, mind you. You went on these platforms saying, why are they promoting the battle, knowing in your contract, you know when certain marketing materials are going to drop. And they asked you to do one thing. They was going to cover you. You said he wasn't a real nigga. But he provided receipts where he showed evidence of being that. You remember the Head Ice situation? Head Ice versus Rosenberg Raw? How that battle was delayed? ARP took that on the chin. He also took on the chin the O-Red and A-War battle. He took that one on the chin as well. He has a history of supporting his talent. He has a history of being a real nigga. He has a history of being a businessman and conducting himself as such. You, sir, got yourself exposed. And I don't get why you would do, why would you burn the bridge? Why would you burn a hand that's why would you burn the hand that's feeding you? I don't understand. That does not make any sense, bro. I do not understand. Some of you battle rap personalities, bro, like, I don't get it. Why are you pigeonholing yourself? So, yeah, you drop, you know what I'm saying? The ARP had to make a decision. He had to make a business move. So he, you know what I'm saying, as you were playing with his money, he had to get a plan B together. So he started talking to Big K, start having some preliminary contacts with Clone to get them ready for that battle. And you go on this warpath of defacing his name, defacing his brand. So when he spins the block, he's going to make it worth his while. Bruh, he went crazy on you. You got bodied by somebody who wasn't rap. You got bodied by a league owner. Do you understand that? And now you're going into the Ultimate Madness tournament. I saw what you said about the poll that was going out on Twitter against your opponent. Oh, wait, what did the URL do? Because they're looking out for you. Who did they give you in the tournament? Rum Nitty. Do you think they really wanted you to be in this tournament that long? You think you're really going to be in that tournament in the URL spotlight for that long, sir? What you lucky is you didn't get an angler. You lucky you did get somebody like a Rum Nitty who's just going to punch your head off for 3 rounds. If you would have got like a T-Top, if you would have gotten T-Top in the first round, bro, it would have been spooky. I would have probably rather have seen that, because first of all, anybody who presents this information, that's an automatic win. That's an automatic. So you already down 0-1 going into this battle with Rum Nitty. Already down 0-1. You think he ain't about to use some of that material? It's gonna hit in the building, bruh. Why do y'all burn the hand that feeds you? ARP does, historically, from what I can tell, he does good business. He protects his brand. He protects his artists. He will take one on the chin. He will take losses to protect his artists, to protect their legacy. And this is how you repay him. I hope that you got everything out of those interviews that you did, because now you can no longer go on RBE. You pretty much limit yourself to the URL and KOTD. So you better hope that you show up against Rum Nitty, that they're going to want to book you again. Because if not, sir, that means you have isolated yourself out of 2 out of the 3 major platforms in battle rap. And it ain't too many more left to choose from. But what do I know? I'm just a blogger, right? We're harmless. But this is Temperature Check. I am your host as always, man. Mr. Check the Temperature. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And like always, we just getting started.